Good morning, everybody. How's everyone doing today? If you're wondering what took me so long to get started, it's because my allergies are killing me. My nose is itching. I've already sneezed 3 times this morning. Oh, I hate this shit, man. Oh, it bothers me so bad. So, of course, I sound terrible. I was sitting here blowing my nose repeatedly. I couldn't get it to stop. It sucks. It sucks. I hate allergies, man. I'm sure all of you do too, especially those of you who probably suffer from them like me. Ugh, terrible, right? So anyway, everyone, welcome to the stream. Welcome to a full day of gameplay streaming today. Good variety of stuff today for sure. Today is Saturday, the 22nd of May, 2021. I welcome you all here to the streams. Interesting day. Today is a make or break stream here for Returnal. So I've been playing Returnal here since launch, alright? And I've had mixed feelings about it. When I first started playing it, I said, okay, I like the game, the graphics are great, the gameplay is pretty solid, the story is intriguing and interesting. I wonder what's going to happen. Well, that was a long time ago. That was a very long time ago. Because what's happened is, since the first maybe 5-6 hours of Returnal, there has been no story at all. The game actually has no story. It's bare bones. The only story you get is through audio logs that you find on dead bodies. Or in the house that inexplicably is supposedly the main character's house that is in the first biome. And once you've basically seen the scenes in the house and you pick up these audio logs, there is no other story in the game at all. At all. Like, it's completely just gameplay. I guess some people are okay with that. If you like the gameplay loop, you probably wouldn't mind. But for me, I like a game that's a balance, and I liked how the first maybe 7 to 10 hours of game had that balance, and that balance has since completely disappeared. 100% gone. No story at all at this point, right? Sadly, what's happened is the game has basically devolved, I hate to say it, really has devolved into a grindy gameplay loop. And this is exactly what I was afraid of when I first heard that this game was a roguelike game. That this game would not be a game that would have longevity as a playthrough because it's too repetitive. Alright? So, that is basically what my feeling was going to be before I played it. When I first started playing it, my opinion changed a bit because I was like, oh, it's actually interesting. You know, as long as you're making progress in the game, it can be fun. But now we've hit a place where the third world, all right, the third biome, I've now been through the third biome arguably 8 times. I've faced the boss of the third biome about 4 times, okay? And I fought it with, I think, 4 different weapons. I think I had the carbine, the hollow seeker, the rocket launcher, and the whatever the goo gun is called, the rot launcher or whatever it's called. I don't know. So 4 different weapons I've used on this thing, and I've almost beaten it twice. But it has a final phase of the final form that I've only seen for a couple seconds, and because of that, I don't know how to dodge its attacks, and I died twice to the final form. Any other game, you would argue that's not a big deal, right? Any other game, you say, okay, big deal. Just go back to the boss and keep fighting it till you figure out the patterns, right? The problem with this game is you can't. That's the problem. You can't just go back to the final boss. You have to replay this gameplay loop of going through the whole first world, grabbing all kinds of upgrades, and then going to the third world, grabbing all kinds of guns and upgrades. By the time you get back to the boss, you've already wasted about 90 minutes, at least. And some people say that's not a big deal. Some people seem to think that this formula, this roguelike formula, is a perfectly acceptable gaming formula. And why would I criticize it when so many other games are roguelikes and they're good? And no one ever said anything bad about those, but for some reason, Phil is criticizing this game. Okay? I mean, very matter-of-factly, I'll tell you why. Because I myself being the kind of gamer I am and the fact that the kind of content creator that I am, alright? I am juggling a lot of games at once, at the same time, always. And being that that's the case, that I'm always juggling multiple things, it's hard for me to sit down and focus in on only one thing at a time. I have to be basically learning different gameplay styles, adjusting to, in one day. You know what I mean? In one day, I could be playing so many different things and having to completely change up what I'm doing. The fact that I don't play the same games every day, right? Like, one day I'll be playing Returnal and Street Fighter. Another day I'll be playing Call of Duty. You know what I mean? Like, everything I do is so different. And don't get me wrong, I love doing it. But I'm not a person who sits down and says, I have to get hyper-focused on this game to get good, as they would say, right? To get good at a game so that I can progress in it. Like, that's not my mentality. I mean, there are games out there, like I've always said, the From Software franchise in particular is incredibly challenging. And I understand people who are like, oh, you really need to focus in on those games to do well. I mean, I've played Sekiro, I played all these different games. I get it, all right? But usually, in the case of even those games, okay, I have the ability to take a few days off, per se, come back to it, and usually I'm good. Like, usually it's not an issue to take a few days away from a game or whatever and then come back to it. With Returnal, it really does seem like it's an issue. Like, if I had played, when Returnal came out, what was it, 3 weeks ago? If I just sat here and constantly played Returnal and nothing else, right? Then maybe I would have been able to coast through this game no issue. But because of the kind of gamer that I am, because I swap games a lot, I only play it like twice a week, right? As a major stream. And at first I was making great progress, right? At first I was doing really good. And then all of a sudden, I hit a wall. As soon as I hit this third biome, I hit a huge wall. And it's frustrating because, like I said, I was liking the game up to that point. But what's apparent about this game is that it is not forgiving. It is not a game that cares about your time. I'm going to repeat that now. And you could take this differently, all right? But Returnal is not a game that cares about your time in any way, shape, or form. Okay? It's a game that basically says, this is the formula. You deal with it. And if you deal with it and you succeed, you probably will really enjoy the game. But if you are someone like me who doesn't have time to hyper-focus on one game, and, you come back to it twice a week, and each time it's like starting from scratch, it's definitely not as good. Let's put it that way. There are some people who absolutely will love Returnal, and I feel there will be some people who absolutely hate this game. I've said this before, and I'll say it again, okay? Excuse me. I feel that games that are roguelikes, games that you reset your progress when you die, okay? They absolutely are valid games and they can work, all right? But there's a big but that comes with that. They can work if done properly, and I feel that roguelikes are much more suited to games that are shorter, games that are more indie style and less expensive. Because the whole formula of a roguelike, forcing you to replay a gameplay loop to get through to another part of the game, the reason you would really do that is I kind of do this as a throwback to the old school days when video games, for consoles at least, were being stored on game cartridges. Okay? And back in the day, there was no saving, there were no checkpoints. It was just you die, you replay a ridiculous amount of gameplay to get back to where you were. Now, in the modern era, we all sit here and complain and say, well, that's bullshit. The game should have checkpoints. The game should have save points, right? Back in the day, the reason that this was done was because you couldn't store much on a game cartridge, okay? On a game cartridge, there was such limited storage. The way to get more gameplay and or extend the length of your game was to make it so that you had to replay a ton of the game every time you die. You see? It was done on purpose. It was actually a game design choice to say there's more value because the game is now longer because you have to keep replaying parts when you die. You see? In the modern era of 2021, we no longer need that. We now have giant unlimited storage capacities. We have SSD hard drives. We have all this stuff going on. We don't need to have that. Now, if you're an indie developer and you don't have a giant budget and you're developing a game and you say, man, I want a game that's going to have, you know, a good amount of hours of gameplay, but we just don't have the resources to develop about this. You know, we don't have the resources to make a game with 14 levels and 100 different enemies. We have the resources to make a game with 5 levels and 20 different enemies. Then make it a roguelike. Because when you make it a roguelike, you increase the challenge level of the game, and if people die, they have to replay. You see what I'm saying? You'll add on more hours to the game. If you're a small indie studio with no resources, and you're just trying to make ends meet and you want to put out a fun game, I would absolutely say that makes sense. If it's a game that, if it's only 3 hours long, but because it's a roguelike, now it's 8 hours long, if the game only costs $20, great. In my opinion, that makes sense, okay? But the fact that Returnal is arguably the first ever PlayStation 5 exclusive game, and of course, some people will dispute that and say, what about Godfall? What about Demon's Souls? Well, Demon's Souls is a port of a PS3 game. It's not an original game. Godfall is an abomination that no one should play. It's terrible, all right? Returnal arguably is the very first exclusive PS5 game, all right? That is a distinction that is going to go along with a lot of notoriety that maybe this game didn't want, okay? We've been talking about this recently, and I even said, I feel Returnal would not have gotten the amount of hype it did, the amount of talk it did, if it were either cross-platform or if it weren't a PlayStation 5 exclusive. If this game were even an Xbox exclusive, I don't think it would have gotten the hype it's gotten. It's because it was the very first major PS5 game of 2021. We've all been sitting with our consoles waiting for an exclusive, and this is the first one. People ran out and bought it in droves. They didn't even care what it was. They just wanted an exclusive game to play on their PlayStation 5s, and this was it. Okay? So, that's what I mean. $70, full-priced $70 PS5 exclusive game. A game that arguably has a gameplay loop that extends the length of the game for absolutely no reason. When you're looking at a roguelike game, my feeling is that a proper way to judge it is to ask yourself the question, does having a roguelike gameplay loop increase the value of this game in any way, shape, or form? All right? If you're looking at a game like The Binding of Isaac, or what stuff like this, right? Okay. Yes. Maybe it does, because that game was a small indie game. Not a lot of, not a lot of backing, not a lot of ability to do a wide variety of stuff with the game. Cheaper game, by the way, was never a $60, $70 game. It was always a cheaper game. Okay, let's add in this gameplay loop, right? And that way it'll make it a more interesting game. It has a hook, all right? The question really is, if Returnal had been, instead of this gameplay loop, if Returnal had been a game that had orchestrated stages, that had orchestrated fights, right? Everything was carefully designed instead of being RNG randomly thrown at you. If the game had actually been designed from the ground up, more like a game from, for example, From Software. Imagine if this game had very challenging stages laid out like a From Software game. Okay. Would it have been a better game? All right. And my answer, quite frankly, is I think so. I think I would have enjoyed this game way more, even if this game didn't even have, like, lore, right? Because the game, if you take a look at a From Software game, the lore of those games very much is in just looking at the item descriptions, right? Like, it's not even laid out for you. You have to find it yourself, basically, right? But, it's still good, right? I do feel that it's still good. I just feel like if this game had been intentionally designed in a certain way, it would have been a more entertaining, better game. The fact that it's a roguelike, in my opinion, actually hinders the game. Where's the story? I haven't seen any story development now in about 8 hours because I've been on the third biome for about 8 straight hours of gameplay, about 3 streams. And because of that, because I haven't beaten it yet, I'm stuck doing the same shit over and over. Even the few audio logs that I found, they're not even adding anything anymore. Like at one point they were adding to, say, the mystery of the game. But at this point, the audio logs are all the same. Oh, well, the protagonist basically went nuts after going through this loop so many times and dying a million times and being revived. She went nuts and started saying crazy stuff. That's it. That's the whole plot. There's nothing else to it. Maybe if I progress further, there's more. But this is the problem. The game shouldn't put you to a wall and say, well, now you're stuck in this gameplay loop that's not fun anymore. And shame on you that you can't beat this hard part of the game. You get no story. You get nothing new at all. Just keep doing the same thing. It's boring. I mean, admittedly, it is fucking boring. Like I said, if this game was not this formula, it probably would have been better. And let's be honest about it, okay? Again, I know everyone says I compare too many things to From Software games, but in a From Software game, you get to a tough boss, okay? And typically, in a From Software game, there will be a checkpoint near said boss, and sometimes it may be a pain in the ass because they purposely put obstacles between you and the boss, right? I want to go fight that boss right away. Oh, you can't. There's a gauntlet of enemies you have to kill or you have to escape before you can get back to the boss, right? So, you can argue in that regard that From Software kind of does the same thing, but at the same time, have you ever played a From Software game where you had to replay 90 plus minutes of gameplay to get back to a boss, ever, in history? And the answer is no, it's never happened. From Software knows that when they're going to make a game that's ultra challenging, that they have to make it accessible. And that's really what this is about. It's accessibility. This game, Returnal, once you reach a certain point, is no longer accessible to someone who does not have an excessive amount of time to play it. All right? And you can argue till you're blue in the face that this is part of a roguelike. Just because it fits a category or genre of game does not make it good. I'm sorry. There is definitely room for improvement and room for criticism. Even though you knew it was a roguelike when you bought it. Yeah. That doesn't mean that I can't criticize the genre in general. Again, roguelike, I feel, works for a game that's shorter, for a game with a lower budget, a cheaper game. Okay, give me a gameplay loop where I have to repeat myself over and over. That's okay. Not a $70 AAA release, PlayStation 5 exclusive, tons of hype. I want story development, can't get it for over 10 hours. Like, then fuck this thing. You know, like, seriously, the game really feels to me at this point, I'm being honest, like it's wasting my time. This is a game that does not appreciate the time of the gamer. It doesn't appreciate that my time is valuable. Instead, it says, we're going to hit you with a random RNG where you don't get any good upgrades, you don't get anything good, so you'll play for 90 plus minutes, you'll get to the boss and lose easily, if you even get to the boss, because of RNG fucked you over. And I'm sorry, that's not a good gameplay formula for a game like this. It's not. I don't care how many defenses you can have for the roguelike, the roguelike genre. You can argue till you're blue in the face. I will still tell you that this is not a good gameplay formula. It's just not. It could be dramatically improved if it didn't have RNG. It could be dramatically improved if it actually had story development. And it could be dramatically improved if it actually had intricately designed stages instead of randomness, which I hate to say it, because I know some people will say that's not fair. It seems lazy to me. It seems like lazy game development. Like, oh, we don't want to take the time to painstakingly design challenging levels. We just want to make 30 options of what the level can be and just let the game fucking do it. Let the game just determine what's going to be in each room. Right? Like, I don't understand that at all. Again, if you have limited resources and there's a reason for it, then I understand it. This is a game studio that was making a giant AAA game that's exclusive to PS5. Why did they do that? Like, I still don't understand it, and no one's been able to justify it. The only justification I've heard is because it's a roguelike. That's not a justification of why they made it a roguelike. That's just telling me what they were going for. Okay, congrats, they got what they were going for. Doesn't mean it's good. That's like saying, well, the game developers were trying to make a pile of dog shit. Hey, look, the game is a pile of dog shit. They succeeded. Okay, and doesn't make it good. It's still a pile of dog shit. And by the way, I'm not saying the game is a pile of dog shit. That's just what I'm saying is these people make these weird defenses for stuff that don't make any sense at all. Like, just because it hit its goal of being a roguelike doesn't mean it works. And like I said, at first I felt it did. At first, in the early stages of the game, I think it works. But once you get to a certain point, it just becomes unfucking bearable to have to redo all this shit so much. And it doesn't work anymore. You know? So, at this point, like I told you guys, this is essentially my make or break stream of the game. And you're wondering what that means? It's very simple. Today, I need to beat the third biome of Returnal. I have to. If I don't, I'm not wasting more time with the game. And I mean that. Like, the game has become a waste. It feels like every time I play this game, I'm now wasting time. Because, sadly, I'm not making progress. Even though I am learning, even though I've unlocked better weapons and, you know, all this stuff, if I'm playing the game 10 hours and I haven't gotten past the third fucking stage, like, what the fuck, man? You see? So, I have to. I absolutely have to make progress today. If I don't even see the point of playing it again. There's so many other games out right now, okay, that people would definitely like to see, including me. We got Biomutant coming out on Tuesday, which we're going to talk about in a moment. We're going to talk about the schedule and everything. But we got all these other games coming out that, to me, are going to be way more interesting and higher priority. I don't care about playing this game a million more fucking times to try to get progress. I just don't. You know, I'm being honest. It's just not... It's not gripping enough or interesting enough when there's no story. If the game had concrete story development, like let me give you an example. If every time you die in this game, you would go back to your ship, and on the ship there would be a new log that would uncover a little bit more of the story, okay? That would be amazing. Like, that would actually make a ton of sense. You're like, oh, okay, I died, but at least I got something out of the death. The death didn't feel like it was a waste because something happened to advance the game. This game doesn't do that at all. It just says, oh, fuck it, you died, you got nothing for it. It's not even like every time you play it, you're unlocking new abilities. No, most of the time you're not. It's actually a rarity when you unlock something that's permanent and stays with you. Very rare. So, again, it's a waste. And I don't enjoy playing a game 2 hours, getting to the boss, narrowly dying. Oh, okay, well, maybe I'll beat it next time. Oops, I don't even know if there'll be a next time on this stream. Because it takes so fucking long to get through this RNG bullshit. You know? That's just, I don't know. I really am disappointed. Because this is a game that I had at least some hopes for. You know? And the fact they did it this way is so disappointing. let me put it this way. I don't want to give up on Returnal. I don't. But sadly, this is a game that I don't think is going to make any more sense to continue in this manner. I just don't. I feel like, you know, like this is it. This is the limit of what I can do with it. And today I'll play it, and if I beat it, if I beat the third world, great. Then I'll keep it in the rotation. It'll be, you know, we'll move on. If not, I mean, I can't imagine myself going back to this game over and over and over anymore, you know? So, we'll see what happens today. Will I beat the third biome of Returnal, or is this the last hurrah for the game? And say, well, sadly for me, it's a failed experiment. These roguelike games don't really work for my streaming content, and sadly, this one just, in my opinion, wasn't well executed. You know what's funny? Since I've been playing Returnal, I've had a group of people, not just one person, a group of people behind the scenes who have contacted me, and they have urged me to play a different roguelike game. I'm not even kidding. Like, they're like, listen, we're huge fans of roguelike games. We play them all the time. We really enjoy them. And we actually feel that Returnal is a bad example of a roguelike game. We actually agree with some of your criticism. Not all of them. We agree with some of your criticisms of the game, and we feel the game could have been way better if they had done it differently. Don't know why they didn't. We would prefer if you dropped Returnal. I've actually had people say that. Stop playing Returnal and go play a different roguelike so you at least have an idea of what these games should actually be. Yeah. I've had more than one person really ask me to go play Hades. It's like, listen, Hades was Game of the Year last year, or a lot of people, it was a Game of the Year contender. It handles the formula way better. In fact, so here's what I've learned about Hades, okay? Every time you die in Hades, you go to a hub. In the hub, you talk to different characters, and they all have new things to say about the plot and things. So, again, every time you die, even if you don't unlock anything permanently that stays with you, you at least get more story. So at least everything feels like you're making progress. Even if you're really not. Even if you're stuck on the same gameplay loop, at the very least, you're getting something new every time you play it. You see? So, you know, I don't know. I just got to kind of shrug and be like, maybe people are right. I don't know. But let's see what happens today. I know this is now, we're talking 20 minutes about this, right? Let's see what happens today with Returnal, all right? We'll find out. You know, we'll see. Maybe I'll get past the third world today, and this won't even be a cause for concern. Maybe we'll get advancement, we'll get new plot, maybe we'll get all of that today, right? Or maybe not. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I guess we're going to see for ourselves, right? All right? But what will I ask? I will ask you all, please be patient and understand, we know what's coming. You know what I mean? We know what the game is. We know exactly what to expect. So please don't freak out when you say, oh, it's the same thing again. Of course it is. That's exactly what the game intended, and that's what I mean. When people say, oh, it's boring because it's the same thing, well, that's exactly what the game is. It's the same thing over and over. So you got to understand that, and if you're here and you don't like that, sorry, I wish that it wasn't. Honestly, I wish it wasn't like that. I would hope that you'll at least bear with it and stay with me for the journey and see if I can beat it. If not, hey, sorry, come back later. All right? This may be the final stream of the game regardless, so if you really don't like the game, well, maybe today is your day then, right? Maybe today is your day, and this will be the last we'll see of it, right? I guess it's to be determined, okay? What's hilarious about this is you got someone, Chaos Riser says, that you shouldn't play roguelikes because you're not good at them. Now, wait a minute. I shouldn't play, let's think about this let's think about this school of thought. I should not play a game because I'm not good at it. What? Like, how exactly would I get good at a game if I don't play it? Like, what? If I don't play the game, right? It's a genre I've never played before. If I don't play it, how would I get good at it? What are you talking about? You don't get good at games by not playing them. I'm not sure if you were aware of that. It's kind of a prerequisite to get good at a game. You must actually play said game. So, I think perhaps you're a little off base with your suggestions. I think maybe you should go back to the drawing board on that one. Okay? Alright. And again, listen, there are people who are ridiculously defending this game in my stream chat at this very moment. They're freaking out and saying that the game is amazing and blah, blah, blah. Listen, you can like it. You have every right to like a game like this. You do. I'm not saying shame on you or man, you're stupid if you like this game. I'm not saying that. Because back, many years ago, I used to be like that. I used to be very, very stubborn and pig-headed and say that and say, oh, it's my way or the highway. I don't believe that. I believe that there's a place in gaming for many different kinds of games. And I definitely feel like there's definitely a place for this game in the gaming landscape. It's a good game overall. But what I'm saying is, for me, as a gamer and as a content creator, this is not a game that fits what I do. It's just not. Again, if when this game came out, if every day for 2 weeks, all I did was play Returnal, I probably would have beaten the game and said, wow, this is one of the best games ever. I kicked its ass. It was challenging, but it was rewarding. But the thing is, that's not the kind of content creator I am. I'm someone who plays a wide variety. I don't have the luxury of sitting down and playing the same games over and over and over. I just don't. Take a look at Resident Evil 8, a game that I absolutely loved. I had to try to beat it in a short period of time because of all the other stuff going on, right? I have these constraints. So, essentially, what the makers of Returnal are saying is if you don't have unlimited time to play the game, don't play the game because that's what the formula fits. And that's okay. If that's your kind of game, then fine. But I'm just saying, I just don't think it's mine. Okay? Fair enough. Okay, now, some quick shout-outs. I don't think that my thing is tracking this anymore. It's not. It's fucking stupid. It doesn't track it properly. I have I was trying to track all of your super chats by having the queue open on YouTube, and the queue doesn't even work. The queue is fucking glitchy. It doesn't even work properly. Look at this. Yeah, look. So I'm going to have to... Actually, right now, the only way for me to read super chats that I don't catch when they come in live is to go to my fucking desktop computer and read them off, because that at least tracks them properly, but nothing else tracks properly here at all. This is incredibly stupid. Alright, so Lycifer Soul had done 2 super chats. One, he says, he's talking about Lady D from Resident Evil Village. I have no idea why, because it has nothing to do with anything now. I mean, that's old news. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about that for. And then he also said, let's see here. Oh, he says Returnal's a PlayStation exclusive, and therefore it automatically is amazing. You have to be an Xbot if you say it otherwise. And I hate to say it, there's just so many people with that mentality. Oh, because it was how dare you say anything negative about this? It's because you're an Xbot or whatever. It's so stupid, man. Right? So hold on a second, because now I can't see. I have to move over to my PC to fucking read this. So stupid. They're incredibly stupid. One is from Isaac and one is from Aquaglow, and both of them are saying dumb shit. So I'm not even going to read them. So there you go. I didn't even miss out on anything. All right, good. Okay. All right, guys. So now we can move on. Let's talk about what I'm actually doing today, tomorrow, and the coming week, because this is an interesting week for sure. So the final stream of Returnal, unless I beat the 3rd stage right now, we'll see how this goes. I'm curious what's going to happen here. Tonight, I am actually returning to Call of Duty. That is correct. Oh, by the way, thank you, Lies for Soul, for another super chat. He says, thanks for the advice on making lasagna. I didn't give you advice on making lasagna, did I? Or maybe I did. I don't remember if I did. Were you the person who asked about it and I talked about it? I don't know. You're welcome. Thanks for the super chat. Okay. Later tonight, returning to Call of Duty, Black Ops Cold War, for a fun late-night stream. It's going to be a new map. I actually don't know anything about the map that released, but there's a new map, supposedly, and this is the first time I'm playing Call of Duty in about a month now, since I've been so busy with the new releases. So it'll certainly be interesting to see how this goes, and curious how the game will look with my new setup, because my new setup here is 1080p 60 frames per second. So I'll actually be showing you the visuals that the game makers intended, rather than a nerfed version, which is what I was doing on Twitch all along, all those months, because Twitch's bandwidth limitations suck ass, right? Pastry Lovin' Bastard just did a super chat. Says, Phil, I love your stuff. Keep it up. Thank you to the Pastry Lovin' Bastard. What a name. Yeah, so tonight should be interesting. I'm excited to, number one, play a new map, but number two, I'm obviously excited to come back to Call of Duty with the new visuals and see what you guys think about them. Okay? So that should be a good time. Hope to see you tonight for that. 6:45 p.m., by the way, Pacific time. Tomorrow, it is a major stream of Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I'm not sure what we'll be tackling. Last time we did the whole Thorian plotline on Pharaohs. I don't know what we'll be doing this time. I don't know if we'll do side content or if we'll go into another story. The next story mission would be Novaria, I believe. So we'll see. I'm curious about it. Tomorrow night is a continuation of Danganronpa V3, where we'll be doing the Third Class Trials second half. At this point, I have absolutely no idea who committed any of these murders. There's 2 now we're trying to solve. I don't know who did them at all. Very confusing, but I'm excited to get answers. So I hope you will join me tomorrow night for answers, okay? Now, I will not be here on Monday. All right, that's my day off for the week. But I shall return on Tuesday with the premiere of a new game, Biomutant. I don't know anything about this game. I'm serious. Like, I really did not look anything up about this game, but people convinced me. They said it's interesting enough, you should check it out. So I will. I'm going to check out Biomutant on Tuesday. Apparently it's a combat-oriented, but I guess there may be, like, some gunplay with it. But, you know, it's so weird because people keep telling me, oh, it's like this, but everything they say is completely different. Oh, it's kind of like, it's open world, so it's kind of like this game. No, actually, it's more like this game. This morning, someone just said it looks like Sekiro. Sekiro? What? Seriously? I don't know. So anyway, I guess we'll see. Starting Tuesday, I'm playing it as the major stream on Tuesday and Wednesday, okay? Now, Tuesday night, I believe we're going to do some MLB The Show, chill streaming at night. And then Wednesday night, I think we're going to be doing more new Pokemon Snap. So those are those weekly sessions of those games for the week. On Thursday, it's the return of Ask the King. This is my bi-monthly Q&A show where I answer your questions. So, FYI, if you post up your questions, there's a chance I'll answer them. So you should do that, okay? Check it out. You can post up your questions by typing !Ask the King in the stream chat. It'll actually bring up the link by which you could jump onto my forums and post up a question for the show. All right. Also, people who pledged to my Patreon to help me out in the last month, they'll also be getting priority questions for the show. So I'm excited for that as well. I haven't answered priority questions in many, many episodes. It should be a good time. So I hope you will join me this coming Thursday for that. Then Thursday night, I believe I'm actually going to do a late night stream of Mass Effect, because what I'm realizing is I have now so many games in the main rotation that if I don't start doing some of them as night streams, I will never make progress. So I think Mass Effect will actually possibly start being a night stream and or balance between a day and night stream. So that'll be Thursday night. And then Friday, Nier Replicant will continue. We're currently now in the Seaside run, which is basically we have to rush through the story and get through a bunch of elements that we've already done before, but there's going to be a few new cutscenes, and then when we get to the end of the game, there's going to be some critical choices that will completely change the outcome of the game, and there's 2 different ways to do it, and then it leads to a super new E-run, which is 2 more hours of new gameplay made just for this version of Nier Replicant. So, we've done all the boring, grinding work. We basically just have to turbo through the game one more time, and we get to see all the story content. So I'm going to be working on that on Friday. And then Friday night will be my weekly throwback session to Street Fighter. I will also be here Saturday and Sunday, I believe. I'm not 100% on what my next day off is, because, once again, my wife doesn't have her schedule for that week yet, because, you know, people who are in charge of her job don't do their jobs very well, just to be frank. So it is what it is. You know, I will let you guys know when my next day off is when I find out. I don't know right now. I'm stuck waiting to find out more information, just like you guys. Shout out to Vineet DM, who has just done a super chat. Sadly, I can't really read out any values for these because I don't know any of them, because they're all different denominations, and I have no idea what the value is or how to convert them or anything. But thank you for the super chat, Vineet. I appreciate that. So that's the rough schedule for the week, guys. Now, what else is going on? Right now, you guys are currently voting on what game you want to see as my upcoming retro replay event playthrough, all right? This game, whatever wins this poll, is going to be played in a marathon format for about 7 hours and then become a regular playthrough right here on my streams in the month of June. So, please continue to vote. You can vote by typing !Retro replay in the chat, all right? And that will bring up the link that you can go vote. You can vote for more than one game at a time if you'd like. The games are pretty wide variety. You got Fallout New Vegas, God of War 3, Uncharted 2, You know, among many others. There's games I've played before, but would be really awesome to do another playthrough of it in the modern times with my modern setup and everything. Especially now that I'm streaming on YouTube, the visuals will be way better. Like, the visuals of said playthrough should be better than anything that I've done in the past. 1080p 60 frames for these games, I mean, some of them aren't going to look very good in 1080p, I don't think. But anyway, please vote, all right? That voting should be open probably till roughly the middle of this coming week. And then the voting will close, and then I will pick the winner, and it will become a marathon. Like I said, what I'll probably do, it's either going to be the very end of May or likely the first week of June. I will schedule in that marathon to get that retro replay started, okay? Sound good? All right. I'm just trying to think outside of all that, is there anything else that I feel like I need to mention before we move to the next segment? Likely not. Shout out to to Pastry Lovin' Bastard, who did a super chat. He says, last support today for me. I've been watching since your channel since Dead Space 1 all the way from Denmark. Well, that makes sense because it says DKK. I guess that means it must be like Danish, some kind of a Danish currency. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate the support, sir. Okay, so thank you guys. If you would like to support my streams, there are many ways you can do it. First of all, as of today, we're at 108 supporters. 108. Excuse me, I don't want to say support. I guess they are supporters, but they're members. People who joined the membership here, which is the equivalent of subscribing over on Twitch. 108 people. That is awesome. By the way, I added a new emote. It's the DSP LOL emote for those who are a supporter. So you can use that now starting today in the stream chat. Okay, pretty cool. Now, the way it works is I think it's every 25 supporters that I get, I unlock another emote slot. So if we hit 125, which is 17 more, then that means I'll get another emote for everyone and I'll add it in. So thank you to those who already have become members. What we're going to do in the month of June, it's going to be just like we did on Twitch. I'm going to have a membership goal to try to hit. What will it be? I don't know yet. But what I'm hoping is this will entice people to come and become members, because if we hit the goal, then we'll do some kind of a celebratory event. All right? And I'm going to talk about that in June, obviously. If you guys have ideas, like what kind of a celebratory event would you guys like? Would you like a retrospective marathon event? Would you like an indies marathon? Maybe the return of the Rageathon, right? I'm not sure what you guys would like. I'm excited no matter what. I would do the return and continuation of Super Mario event. Remember when I did the Super Mario Challenge Run event? It worked really well, except we don't have channel points anymore to wager, which sucks. I am going to look into that because apparently there is a way to employ a bot to come into a chat room and start tracking points for viewers. I think it's based on how many streams you attend and how much you chat. It'll earn you points. And then those points can then be used for things like I said, wagering and stuff. So we'll see. I got to try to figure this out. But maybe eventually we'll have that back. But I kind of feel like if I did another Mario event like that, I feel like it would be not as good because we just don't have the channel point system in effect, you know? So it kind of sucks in that regard. But anyway, we'll see. All right, anyway. So, yes, all this is going to happen in June. So please consider becoming a member. That supports the channel. Of course, you can super chat or use a super sticker. That supports the channel. Or you could tip me. And quite frankly, right now, for the next month, tipping is the most important and best way to support the channel. Why? Because all of the support that you guys are giving me right now is very appreciated, but I will not actually see any of that. I will not get any benefit from any of that until basically the third week of June. That means tips have to pay for everything for me in the next several weeks, okay? So it's pretty important that tips come in and that I'm able to make ends meet just based on tips during the live streams. Now, you guys have been very supportive, and I appreciate that. If you want to help out, please tip me. You can tip me in 3 different ways. In the description of the video, there's a link that brings you to my tips page. If you type !tip, it'll bring up the link. Or if you check the pinned post, if it's still there, I don't know, I don't see it. But I did have a pinned post here that also had the link. All right, so many different ways to tip if you would like to, and I appreciate that. Again, this is very important because if I don't get tips, I can't pay anything. Tips are the only income I have until next month when I start getting paid by YouTube for all of this additional channel income. Okay? So, please tip me if you can. Thank you in advance to everyone who may contribute today. It's very much appreciated if you do. And remember, we do have reward tiers in effect. If I raise $50 in tips, I'll put on Gunner glasses. For $100, I'll put on a vest. Now, I'm trying to remember what we did. Yesterday, I wore the red vest. And then I wore the blue vest. That's correct. I wore the blue vest, and then I wore the red vest. Right? So blue and red yesterday. So today, that means we could do platinum, beige, camo, denim, gray. We have all these different vests I could wear, depending on what you guys want, if we do hit the goal. Okay? So anyway, yeah, please consider contributing, and let's make it happen. All right? So Lights Were Sold did 2 more super chats. Let's see. In the first one, he says, should I turn on my DMs on YouTube like you told us to do on Twitch? The thing is, there are no DMs on YouTube. You may not realize this. YouTube doesn't have a direct message system anymore. They used to many years ago. And I used to get DMs from all kinds of people. Fans, other content creators. Like, I used to get it from all people. But they did away with that a long-ass time ago. There have not been direct messages on YouTube in many years. So, in reality, you don't have to worry about it. Because no one can direct message you to harass you on YouTube at all. So, don't worry about it. Okay? Alrighty then. Then he did another super chat. Lights Were Sold all these super chats today. And he says, I don't like when people call me a whale. This is supposed to be a fat joke. I got more abs than inches on their wee-wee. There you go. Whatever the fuck. What does that mean? I got more abs than inches wee-wee? What? Anyway, thank you for the super chat. No, people, you know why they do, because they're assholes, because they're trying to insult people. Which is hilarious, because every content creator who has a following is going to have supporters who are going to want to help them continue to do what they love them doing. Why you would insult someone for that, I have no idea. You know what I mean? Like, the way I see it is thus. There are definitely things that need to be criticized. For example, these content creators who currently on Twitch are just sitting there taking off their clothes, sitting in pools, splashing water all over their bodies, and rubbing giant inflatables. That's disgusting, over-sexualized, predatory content that basically preys on the weak-minded, okay? Or the underage, one or the other. I don't support that content at all. That's disgusting, in my opinion. But if you like a content creator who legitimately puts out content on a daily basis, you know, they're putting out gameplay, they're putting out discussion with their fans, it's stuff that people legitimately enjoy, and it's not some kind of predatory, disgusting content, there's nothing wrong with supporting that. Even if someone, you know, okay, I hate this person, particularly for some reason, I gotta bug up my butt about the person, alright? But what's wrong with someone supporting someone they like, you know? That doesn't seem to make much sense. People just are really messed up in the head that they think that it's my agenda to insult someone. There's actually people that are like, I am a crusader for good, and I will expose that this content creator is a bad content creator because of said reasons that are really convoluted and don't make much sense. But anyway, I will keep spewing the same filth on the internet because I am a gladiator, a crusader. It's like, what are you talking about? How about if you don't like someone, you just ignore their content instead of insulting anyone who does? Listen, I don't like Justin Bieber's music. I think that Justin Bieber's music is some of the worst music ever made. I think that it was completely manufactured, and personally, I don't like the guy either, the way he behaves. I think that talking about Justin Bieber is the biggest waste of time ever, all right? How often do you hear me talk about Justin Bieber on my streams exactly? Right? Think about that. How often has it happened? Not very often, right? You want to know why? Because I don't like Justin Bieber. So why would I talk about him? You see, I just... This is a normal person with a normal thought process would say, okay, I don't like something, I'm just going to ignore it and go on with my life. Now, I don't like something, I'm now going to proceed to harass everyone who does like something. I'm going to waste my life and time dedicated to trying to ruin the life of someone I don't like. Like, what are you talking about? Where did we go from I don't like someone to I must ruin their life and the lives of everyone who does like them? Like, where did we get that logic jump exactly? So, if you ever get called a whale for supporting a content creator, just rest assured, that person who's calling you a whale is way worse than anything they could call you, because they're the one who's wasting their life and time like an idiot. They don't know what they're doing. They've completely lost their way, and you don't have to feel bad about being called anything like that by these people, because you all can just think right to yourself, wow, immediately, I'm a positive person who supports someone and builds someone up. This is someone who breaks someone down. Immediately, you're doing better than them, so you could just nod and say, all right, oh well, God, that's a pathetic person, move on. Don't let it bother you. There you go. Team Ico Gamer has done a super chat. It says, Phil and chat, I am hyped for Returnal. I have a feeling this is the one. Don't forget to bob and weave. I believe in you. All right. Well, I guess we'll see. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I've not received any tips today so far. Okay? So, that means I don't have anything to shout out right now. Normally, I would have some shout outs to do, but we have nothing. Okay? So, it is what it is. I would ask that, again, if you do support my streams, right, and you want to see these streams be successful, please consider supporting the stream by tipping me. Tipping is the way to go. Tipping is the way I need the support right now. So I hope that those of you who do enjoy the streams will tip me today over the course of me suffering through Returnal and trying to make progress. Okay? Fair enough? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for a brief break. This is not going to be a lengthy break or anything. This is just going to be me using the bathroom for a few minutes. All right, when I come back from break, anyway, when I come back from break, it'll be Returnal, and we'll see if we can beat the third world. Fair enough? Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I did just receive a $25 tip from Murdoch. So Murdoch actually got the tipping started today. Let's get that up on the leaderboard. Thank you, Murdoch. I appreciate that very much. Oops. There we go. All right. Cool. Thank you very much for that. And thank you, everyone, for listening to my rant about Returnal this morning. I know it was very upsetting for most of you. Most of you are very upset with me for going on about Returnal the way I did. I'm very, very sorry. I apologize wholeheartedly. All right. Excuse me. Let us now take the break. Okay? All right. I shall return. See you guys in a few. All right? All right. Cool.